أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله وصلى الله على محمد وآله وفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد فوقاه الله سيئات ما مكروا لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إن كنتم من الظالمين فاستجبنا له ونجيناه من الغم وكذلك ننجي المؤمنين حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل فانقلبوا بنعمة من الله وفضل لم يمسسهم سوء ما شاء الله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله ما شاء الله لا ما شاء الناس ما شاء الله وإن كره الناس حسبي رب من المربوبين حسبي الخالق من المخلوقين حسبي الرازق من المرزوقين حسبي الله رب العالمين حسبي من هو حسبي حسبي من لم يزل حسبي حسبي من كان مسكنت لم يزل حسبي حسبي الله لا إله إلا هو عليه توكلت وهو رب العرش العظيم
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين بالقاسم محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا أما بعد فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين اللهم صل السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Continuing with the commentary on khutbah number 27 from Nahj al-Balagha, I will inshallah start with the second section of this khutbah. We talked about the first section last week, which was the beginning of where Imam talks about the virtues and the importance of jihad. In this section, Imam is talking about the consequences of abandoning jihad. In case a person whom Imam is mobilizing in this sense, in this khutbah, or in this portion of the khutbah, Imam is uttering those words in order to mobilize the troops, in order to encourage them and tell them the repercussions in case you abandon this wajib. And of course, we know the rules and the laws of this particular wajib when you count through your wajibat, that it is amongst the obligations. And when this obligation is given to you by Imam Ma'soom, then you have to say labbaik to it. Just like any country where you are a citizen of, if it tells you to mobilize the troops and then become part and serve in the army and the armed forces, you don't have any choice, you have to serve. I'm sure there are exceptions, but nonetheless, that's what you signed up for. If there is a need, if they needed more and more people beyond what their army men are already, then you're going to have to start. Same thing with the Islamic government. When Imam Masoom is the head of the state, if they make this call and call for people to stand up and take, bear arms, then it will become an obligation. And abandoning it is actually amongst the gunahane kabira, right? Considered to be amongst the major sins. So here Imam is basically trying to mobilize the troops. He says by beginning, Ala wa inni qad da'awtukum ila qitali ha'ulai al-qawm laylan wa nahara wa sirran wa i'lana. Beware, I called you insistingly to fight these people night and day, secretly and openly, and exhorted you to attack them before they attacked you. Because by Allah, no people have been attacked in the hearts of their houses, but they suffered disgrace. But you put it off to others and forsook it till destruction befell you and your cities were occupied. The Imam, in other words, is telling them this is something which has already happened. Now, of course, it may not have happened in the city that you're in, but it has happened in the other parts of the Muslim Ummah, which is equally yours. If this piece of land belongs to you entirely, yeah, they may have not attacked this part of your land, but they have attacked the other part of your land. And I'll tell you what's going on over there right now. This is the situation over there right now. This is the suffering that is going on over there right now. Just the same way you hear about the different parts of Muslim Ummah today, suffering, and you remember and remind yourself of that famous tradition from the Prophet who said that Bani Insan, our Ummah, the Muslim Ummah, is like a body. When one part of the body is ashtaka, when one of the parts of the body is hurting, is feeling ill, the other part also feels the pain for it. And so it's not possible that your right hand got hurt and your left hand doesn't know about it, right? That's what it means. There are a few words that are used here by Imam ﷺ, which are, terminologies which we don't normally see. I'll skip these as they will come about in the discussion. He said, if someone were to die from this grief, it would be deserved. In this passage of the sermon, Imam, after stating brief but meaningful and profound introduction to the previous section, which was exhorting people toward jihad, here Imam, as I mentioned, is telling them the consequences of not going to jihad. He places emphasis on a clear example of the disastrous consequences of abandoning jihad by saying, beware, I called you to fight this group. What is this group? By now you should know. Muawiyah and the rulers of Sham, right? That was the discussion in the previous. They were the ones whom Imam was mobilizing the troops to go ahead and call and to fight against. I told you that within the nature of this oppressive and tyrannical group lies inherent aggressiveness. They're not going to wait. Oh, Muslims, Muslim Ummah, they're all part of the belief system, and let's just be, gentle with them, forgiving with them. No, that's not how they're going to be. They're going to be aggressive. If you take a back step, if you step back a little bit, they're going to come with 10 steps forward towards you. And whenever they find the opportunity, they will not refrain from killing the innocent, taking your women and children captive, and plundering your wealth. The first opportunity they get, they're going to go ahead and do this. Therefore, reason and Sharia permit you to stifle their conspiracies at the outset, break their power before they attack, and thus extinguish the flames of their sedition. So Imam is trying to get them, give them that speech to rouse them, to get them ready, and then at the same time give them the consequences. Imam uses what? Women and children. That is a good tactic. Why? First and foremost, it is a reality. Imam is not talking about some fairy tale. Imam is not giving them false repercussions. Imam is giving them true consequences. This will happen. And therefore, what they will do, they will go ahead and occupy your land. they will not think about it twice. They will make your women and children captive, although they're Muslim. Islam does not permit you to take Muslim men and women and children to be as asir and captives. Well, they're going to go ahead and do that the first opportunity they get. The Imam then presents a very clear and important argument to this one. He says, فَوَاللَّهِ مَا غُزِيَ قَوْمٌ قَطُّ فِي أُقَرِ دَارِهِمْ إِلَّا ذَلُّوا. No people have ever been attacked within their own homes except that they have become humiliated. You think that they'll spare you? They'll forgive you? No. They'll humiliate you. Zillat, the word dhallu is being used here. So it is evident that those who are attacked within their homes will easily lose their morale. They'll feel defeated, and their very state will lead to their defeat. So when it comes to, when you're fighting outside, then your morale is still high. When you're fighting outside, a few blows still don't bother you as much. But when the attack comes to your house, then the morale goes down. The moment you hear that was captured, that left, that went away, that so and so died, and this, that really throws you down. So on the other hand, the aggressor never takes into consideration the preservation of interest. This is also our land, these are also our people. Let's not destroy everything altogether. They don't take care of the interests of the home, property, city, or the land of the people that they're attacking. They strike, destroy, and advance, whereas the people of the land are compelled to consider these matters. They constitute their wealth and the possessions. So such concerns does what? It leaves your, limits your actions, and sometimes you give in. One of the arguments that is raised why Imam Hussain ﷺ brought his family with him is answered over here. Right? A lot of people question. Many people at that time were asking, "Oh Hussain, if you want to go, go. Leave your wife and kids. Leave your young women and children. Leave women altogether and children. Don't take them. You want to go, go. Bismillah. You think this is your calling? Sure. But leave the kids and the family here. What are they going to do?" So one of the arguments that is presented over here is this. Number one, you've been given many answers why Imam took his family with him. But one of the answers that is given in the analysis of Karbala is the reason Imam took his family and kids, young children, even 6-month-old, right? How old was he when Imam left Medina? Probably a week old or 2 weeks old. But Imam still brought him. He could have left him with his mother, but Imam brought Ali Asghar and the mother of Ali Asghar. Why? Because if Imam is marching toward Kufa, and if Imam is engaged in war, and over here the enemy who has agents sitting in Medina, there were agents in Makkah to go ahead and kill Imam. If he's got agents sitting in Medina, if they go ahead and capture Imam's family, before the battle begins, they make Imam's family asir. Before the battle begins, they go ahead and start pressurizing Imam through the family. Look, we've captured your kids, your daughters, your family members, the female family members of your household. Hypothetically speaking, yes, Imam is above family, but nonetheless, this would have impacted, if not Imam, those who are in the surroundings. Hazrat Abbas is there, Hazrat Ali Akbar is there. All the other Banu Hashim are there. They're not ma'asum like Imam Hussain is. So therefore, there's a possibility that they will inevitably say, "Imam, let's just go ahead and give it up." Why? Because they got our kids, they got our family. They've been made asir. They're torturing them. So this was one of the reasons why Imam brought everyone with him. He said, "Let them be with me, I'll be more comfortable. Even if they have to suffer the traveling difficulties and all that stuff. But let them be with me." So that's one of the reasons. There are 4 or 5 other reasons that ulama have mentioned. So when a community is attacked, within its home, its women, children, and infants are caught amidst the combatants, the aggressor without restraint sheds blood and advances. while the defenders are compelled to observe human considerations, considering their own people. This too slows down their efforts. There's a possibility. Imam Hussein's efforts may have been slowed down had he left his family back home. So all these factors, along other considerations, are reason why a people attacked within their own home are more likely to be defeated. That's why they're, in Islamic expeditions, the Ghazawat, it was always instructed, except in some exceptional cases where special circumstances existed, such as in the Battle of the Trench, Ghazwatul Ahzab, right? The fighters should go out of the city and face the enemy in the open. This is what happened in Badr. This is what happened in Uhud. This is what happened in other. But in Ghazwa Khandaq, in the Battle of Khandaq, in the Battle of Ahzab, the trenches, they were within the city limits. They were inside the city. This was one exception. For whatever reason, you go study the background of Khandaq. So they had to do what? Dig trenches around the city. Even then, they had to do something to not let the enemy penetrate in the city of Madinatul Munawwarah. So that's one. Then Imam says in the, as a conclusion, he says, فَتَوَاكَلْتُمْ وَتَخَاذَلْتُمْ حَتَّى شُنَّتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْغَارَاتُ وَمُلِكَتْ عَلَيْكُمُ الْأَوْطَانُ. Number 3 right here, right? Imam says, but you shifted the responsibility onto another and abandoned supporting one another until repeated enemy raids fell upon you and your lands were seized. So you're passing the baton, in other words. You go ahead and do it. I'll stay back. You go ahead and do it. Everybody is trying to give take the responsibility and not take the responsibility and give this responsibility to and pass it down to someone else. So Imam uses the word tawakul. In essence, means each person entrusting his task to another. Tawakkul is good on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But tawakkul is not good. It's your duty. You should carry it out. You cannot pass it down to someone else. Kind of like all the wajibat. They're all your duty. You have to pray yourself, your Salatul Fajr. You can't say, Maulana, can you pray Salatul Fajr on my behalf today? It makes sense. You're laughing. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, you can leave in wasiyat. Maulana, when I die, I want you to pray my Salatul Fajr. For example, I've missed all these salat. Or not just Fajr, my 1 year's worth of salat. You can do this tawakkul once you're dead. While you're alive, you can't pass it down to anyone else, regardless of how sick you are. You're laying on the bed, you can't even move a limb. It's time for salat. What do? Can you pray on my behalf? You'll be able to stand up, you'll be able to do ruku, you'll be able to do sajda, you'll be able to do wudu and all that stuff. No. It's your duty, even when you're laying in the bed, to pray yourself. That tawakkul will not work over here. So here is the same meaning. In other words, meaning is that each person, shirks responsibility and places it upon himself, resulting it being, or in the field being left empty. And the second, the word that Imam used, the word takhadul, is that each person refrains from helping others and leaves him to his own state. As a result, the bond of unity is broken. So tawakkul is not good, letting go of your duty and giving it to someone else. And takhadul is not good either. You still got to help them out. You can't refrain from lending a hand to them. If you don't, then you're weakening your own group and your own sufuf. As a result, the bond is broken, the unity is broken, and the enemy, without sensing any obstacle or deterrent, does what? Attacks you, penetrates you. This is one of the worst and the ugliest traits in human societies, that individuals, shirk the responsibility and place them on the others. Even, you see this in non-Muslims, that how the the person who's giving the orders aren't challenged, especially in the battlefield, even if they might be going against some of the things that you see are not right, but you're taught to go with the superior's orders. Why? This is where they're able to keep you together. Even later on, it comes out that what they were doing was wrong. So if a brother or brothers are attacked, they leave them alone, and the outcome of this behavior is precisely what Imam ﷺ says in these words, فَتَوَاكَلْتُمْ وَتَخَاذَلْتُمْ. Then Imam, by presenting a clear example, describes a painful incident of the attack of Akhu Ghamid, Sufyan ibn Auf al-Ghamidi. So Imam uses this individual, talks about him. وَهَذَا أَخُو غَامِدٍ. وَهَذَا أَخُو غَامِدٍ, in the last line. وَقَدْ وَرَدَتْ خَيْلُهُ الْأَنْبَارَ وَقَدْ قَتَلَ حَسَّانَ بْنَ حَسَّانَ الْبَكْرِي وَأَزَالَ خَيْلَكُمْ عَنْ مَصَالِحِهَا. Now listen, one of the commanders of the plundering army of Sham, Akhu Ghamid, has attacked the city of Al-Anbar, and his cavalry has entered the city. Hassan ibn Hassan al-Bakri, my governor and my representative, has been killed. So the one who was appointed by Imam has been killed. And your soldiers and border guards have been driven out of their position. So this is the alarming situation. This is the news which you may not know. I have this news right now, and this is where the enemy has come to. So Imam ﷺ uses the phrase, azala khaylakum, indicates that he crossed the border without facing significant resistance. When will they not face any significant resistance? When there's tawakkul, and when then there's takhadul. The reason they didn't face any significant deterrence and they were easily able to penetrate is because there was tawakkul. They were leaving the duty to some other people. And there was takhadul. They were not helping each other out. The details of this event were mentioned in the beginning of this sermon. We talked about it last week. Then Imam, among the crimes of Akhu Ghamid and the plundering army, places his finger upon the most sensitive and the deeply painful point. He says, it has reached to me that one of them would enter the house of a Muslim woman and of another woman, such as the one who is under the protection of Islam, even if she's not Muslim, and he would tear off her anklet, her bracelet, her necklace, her earrings. What does that remind you of? Karbala, right? What did they do? They entered the tents. They removed the hijl, the qulb, the qala'id, and the ru'uth. These are the words that Imam uses. While they had no means to defend themselves, these ladies, they can't defend themselves, except by weeping, pleading, and seeking mercy. That's all they can do. They can't stand up to put up a fight. This indicates that none of the Muslims there rose to defend this Muslim woman, and even the non-Muslim women who were under the protection of Islam. It is as if, if the dust of death has been cast over all of them, that they accepted such blatant disgrace upon themselves. Their wealth was looted, their honor was violated, and their protected people subjected to oppression and injustice. Here Imam uses the word istarja. What is kalama istarja? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Kalama istarja is inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Imam used this word istarja, has been interpreted by the commentators of Nahj al-Balagha in two ways. Number one, weeping and wailing and accompanied by sobbing and choking of the voice of the throat. That's one way of translating the word istarja. The second is the utterance of inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. When do you say this word? Sometimes you say this word when someone has died, right? And in Arab world, they also use this word. When they hear of an attack in a neighboring city, inna lillahi wa inna. They're showing grief. They're showing, loss of life. That is also showing their disappointment. Inna lillahi wa inna. So that's one way of uttering. So, which is commonly said in times of severe calamity, when nothing else can be done. You can't do anything at that point. Inna lillahi, to Allah we belong, and to Him shall we return. That's it. There's no more hope left after that. Then Imam adds, after committing all of these crimes, they return to their homes and lands with abundant spoils, without even a single of them being harmed, nor a drop of their blood being shed. ثُمَّ انصَرَفُوا وَافِرِينَ مَا نَالَ رَجُلًا مِّنْهُمْ كَلْمٌ وَلَا أُرِيقَ لَهُمْ الدَّمْ فَلَوْ أَنَّ أَمْرًا مُسْلِمًا مَاتَ مِنْ بَعْدِ هَذَا أَسَفًا مَا كَانَ بِهِ مَلُومًا. If because of this deeply painful incident a Muslim were to die from grief and sorrow, he would not be blameworthy. Rather, in my view, he would be deserving of it. He had the opportunity. You could have, stronghold the enemy. You could have gotten your troops together. You were strong enough to do all this stuff. Imam unveils a matter that burns deeply within him. Namely, why should a believing Muslim show such weakness in the face of the events that the enemy has attacked his land without any obstacle and deterrent, plunders his wealth, even violates his honor, and then returns home fully laden with everything and without the slightest of the loss for themselves? Indeed, no Muslim with honor can bear such a painful incident. If this was to happen, then you deserve to die. In the next section is one of the most highly quoted sections of Nahj al-Balagha. You know how Nahj al-Balagha is neglected in our societies. We don't get to discuss much of Nahj al-Balagha. We cherry pick the words in Nahj al-Balagha. One of the words that are cherry picked in Nahj al-Balagha is the next section of it, where Imam goes to the level, which of course inshallah we'll discuss bi'idhnillah next week. I'm just giving you a preview of it. Imam goes to the level where he calls Ya Ashbahun Nas. You've heard this in the majalis many times. Those who resemble men. You're not men. You resemble men. That's the biggest insult. Imam is calling his troops what? Ashbahun Nas. You're not men. You resemble men. And those who resemble are not truly what they are. So, Imam says at this point, if there's no honor, you can't bear such painful incident. If someone were to die from grief and sorrow, there would be no blame upon this person. So, in any case, Imam's intention is to express the depth of the catastrophe that has occurred. It is obvious that these words are not limited to the past, to the attacks of Muawiyah's army, to the city of Al-Anbar, nor are they restricted to yesterday alone. Rather, they constitute a universal principle that applies to the life of Muslims today and tomorrow as well. Now, you can't live with this pain. It is as if the Imam is addressing the Muslims of today. Look at how alive these words are. You take these words and you put them today in your speech, in your lecture, if you're mobilizing the troops. You use them to get them ready, because it speaks of harsh reality and the fact, something that took place in the past, and there's nothing stopping it from happening tomorrow. Who are under attack by plundering the forces of East and West, their wealth and honor is endangered, and who are displaying weakness in defending themselves against the bloodthirsty aggressor and the plunderers. Still, these people are called to be Katib-e-Wahi, relative of Prophet, Khalul Mu'mineen and Amirul Mu'mineen, and all of these titles are still given to such an individual. It is as though he's conveying these very same words to them, that if a Muslim man, upon witnessing the aggression of the tyrants against the sacred lands of Islam, the violation of their first Qibla, Baitul Maqdis. Why do you think the Shias care about Baitul Maqdis so much? I mean, it's going on record, but many have raised their concerns about the nature of Palestinian, that, not all of them would favor the Shia. Not all of them would stand by. Now, there are many who would, but majority of them would side with the other side. But nonetheless, what's the Shia interest in it? Shia's interest is, of course, helping a Muslim, regardless of their, sect, regardless of if they are Shia or they're Ghair Shia, if they're what, doesn't matter. They're Muslim. They're under the umbrella of Islam. That's number one. So we're going to stand and we're going to call them to be, Man alqa alayka salam, the one who says salam to you, don't call them to be non-Muslim. Don't do takfir onto them, number one. And number two, Qibla awwal, Baitul Maqdis has importance. So the looting of their resources and their wealth and the violation of their honor and dignity, if such a man were to die out of grief and sorrow, he would not be deserving of blame. And then, of course, as I said, the next third part, which is not included in there, Imam then really humiliates these people of what they have done and what they were lacking as far as their motivation was concerned toward going forward and performing this jihad. Wa akhiru da'wana and alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.